This is not an exposing video. This is a confession. I'm tired of staying silent about this stuff, and I cannot keep silent about it anymore. I was very reluctant on making a video on this topic because some of the more absurd aspects of it might prevent people from being able to take it seriously. And I want to laugh at this whole thing. I want to joke around about it and be like, oh, haha, it's just fun and games and whatever. I want to laugh at it, self-deprecation, make fun of myself, whatnot. I can't do that because the more serious aspects kick in and they prevent me from being able to laugh at this. They prevent me from being able to joke about this and, have it be like a stupid thing, self-deprecation or whatever. I can't do that. I just simply cannot do that. Do not harass anyone that is mentioned in this video. This should come off as very obvious, but I still have to put it. I cannot stress that enough, that you should not harass anyone that's mentioned in this video. Everyone in this video I want to try and keep anonymous and private because I don't want them to get reminded of this whole thing. I don't want them to remember it. I hope everyone that I mention in this video anonymously, I hope they forget about me and my existence and they just carry on with their lives. And I want them to know that I am so deeply sorry for everything that I did to them, and I will never forgive myself for allowing it to happen, even if they end up forgiving me. I made a video very similar to this back in 2023, and now here I am 2 years later remaking it with one key difference. In that original video, I made myself out to be the victim. I was the good guy in the story. I was being harshly treated and whatnot, when in reality it was me that was being a horrible person to these people for nothing. And now I want to remake this video and be a lot more honest about myself and confess to everything that I did to these people. I've bullied people for no good reason. I acted like a dick towards people for no reason at all. I am confessing to everything that I've done in this video, completely unbiased, completely unchanged. I am confessing to everything as is. And I will take full accountability for everything that I do, and I understand that some people will not forgive me for this stuff, and I understand that some people are gonna unsubscribe and they're gonna hate me now because of this, and I fully understand that. Even with the knowledge that this will affect my channel's reputation, I still choose to make this video anyways and confess to everything, because it is the right thing to do. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the worst video game I have ever played in my entire life, and I'm not saying that to make people mad. I'm not saying that as hyperbole. I'm not saying that as an exaggeration. I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I hate this game with so much. Like, you have no idea. This isn't comedic anger. This isn't like you ever watch like Angry Video Game Nerd, where it's like he's angry at a game, but it's like it's exaggerated for comedic purposes. This isn't like that. This is not like that at all. I have genuine hate for this game. I'm not saying any of this to turn people away from this game. If there's anyone watching this that loves this game, by all accounts, keep loving it. Keep playing the game. Forget about me when you play this game. Don't acknowledge my existence. Ignore my existence when you play this game. I understand and acknowledge that there are objectively worse games out there than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But the thing is, I've never played any of these infamous bad games before in my life. I've never played E.T., I've never played Superman 64, I've never played, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or whatever. I've never played any of those games before in my life. I've never played them. Granted, I don't need to play any of them to know that they're objectively worse games than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I don't care. I would rather be fair and only acknowledge games that I have personally played. The only infamous bad games that I have ever played are Sonic 06 and the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Remaster. Honest to God, I would rather play Sonic 06 over Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I know that Sonic 06 is objectively a terrible game. I know that objectively it is worse than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But you know what? I didn't ruin my life over Sonic 06. Sonic 06 did not cause me to be a horrible person to tons of people online for no reason. Therefore, I consider it better than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. As for the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remasters, well, that's very debatable, actually. It's either Smash Ultimate or this game that I consider to be my least favorite video game of all time. I've heard reports that apparently they've fixed the game, like Rockstar fired the original team that made these remasters and they started remastering it themselves, and now the games are like better than they were when they first launched in 2021. I don't know if that's true, but I don't think it matters because the damage has already been done. You can polish a turd all you want. It's still a turd, as they say. I have no ill will towards Masahiro Sakurai or anything like that. I don't hate this man. I don't hate Sakurai. I acknowledge that he had no ill intentions or anything like that. Sakurai doesn't even know who the I am. He doesn't know I exist, and that is for the better, honestly. I'm glad he doesn't know who I am. I am not going to pin any of this on Masahiro Sakurai. I'm not gonna act like he's the villain in this story. I'm not gonna act like he was the one that caused all of this. Everything that I say in this video is my fault and nobody else's fault. I'm genuinely scared to open up about this story just because of how much regret I feel for it. But it is the right thing to do, and I want to hold myself accountable and bring justice to those that I've wronged. Eventually, I was able to make things right with them. Yes, indeed, eventually, all the people that I've wronged, I would eventually apologize to them. So the story kind of ends with a happy ending, or at least it did, only for it to have an extremely depressing epilogue. I think I've delayed the inevitable long enough. Let's get into it. This is the story of how I ruined my life over Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For Christmas 2018, I got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and throughout 2019, I would spend hours, and I mean hours, playing this game. Almost every day, I get home from school, I would load up my Nintendo Switch and I would just start playing Smash Ultimate, just like that. So then we cut to a few months later, around September or so. By this point, Banjo-Kazooie was just added into the game, and Terry was the next DLC fighter. And I remember while playing as Banjo and Kazooie during this time, I just noticed how many iconic gaming characters there were in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, Pikachu, Sonic, Cloud Strife, Solid Snake, Mega Man, Ryu, Pac-Man, and now Banjo-Kazooie. And it just made me think, what other famous gaming characters could make it in as DLC. Now, here's a little bit of background information. Around the time Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was at its peak popularity, there was a dedicated community for it on Twitter. No, I'm not calling it X. There was a dedicated community for it on Twitter, known as the For Smash community. Obviously, everyone has their own personal Super Smash Bros. Most wanted character. And what most of these people would do, is they would make an account dedicated to that character that they want to see in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't want to list any examples. I don't know if I want to or not, because I don't want to risk people watching this trying to find any of these accounts that I mentioned. Please, for the love of God, I cannot stress this enough, do not harass anyone that is mentioned in this video. Do not bother them about any of this. They don't need to be reminded of any of this. I'm not doing this to expose them or anything like that. I'm doing this to confess to the mistakes that I've made. Do not harass anyone that is mentioned in this video. Please, for the love of God, please. You had, for example, there were a lot of Crash Bandicoot for Smash accounts. There were a lot of Waluigi for Smash accounts, you know. Prior to making it into the game, there were a lot of Minecraft Steve for Smash and Sora for Smash accounts, you know. There were a lot of these accounts that wanted to see these characters in the game. And I thought to myself, you know what? I was cool with whoever would make it into the game, or at least I was at the time. You're gonna see how very different things would become later on. And I had my own personal most wanted character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, although this character, or should I say these characters, are a lot more niche when it comes to character requests, character demand, etc. My most wanted characters were a Grand Theft Auto protagonist. My idea was that since there are tons and tons of different GTA protagonists, they would do what they did with Hero and have each alt just be a different Grand Theft Auto protagonist. So like one alt could be Tommy Vercetti from GTA Vice City, one alt could be Carl Johnson, CJ from GTA San Andreas. You know, 3 of the alts could be dedicated to the Grand Theft Auto 5 protagonists, Franklin, Michael, and Trevor, that sort of thing. Now, I have to make this clear in advance as well that I am a big fan of GTA. I had one of those like cool older family members that allowed me to play the games when my parents weren't looking. This was like back at the end of 2014. I have a cousin, and in late 2014 he had a PS3 and he had GTA 4, and I remember he would let me play GTA 4 to my heart's desire, and I was like so f***ing dumbfounded by the sheer scope of this game. I was like, this was like, it was a big giant city, and you could just go around doing whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted. There was nothing else I'd ever played like it before. And then we fast forward to the summer of 2015. We fast forward to like, he comes over to visit in July of 2015. Jesus f***ing Christ, this was nearly 10 years ago. My God. And he has an Xbox One now. And so I remember we went to my local GameStop and we picked up a copy of GTA 5 for the Xbox One. And like that whole summer, I would just play the game. And every time he would come over to visit, he would bring his Xbox One and we would just play the game together. And I thought this was the best fucking game ever made at the time. I thought, wow, this was what gaming is truly capable of. I have so many like nostalgic memories attached to these games, and now they've just been ruined for nothing. For nothing at all. I know that's not the most important thing to be affected by everything that I did, but still, man. The massive nostalgia that I had for the GTA games made me think, you know what? I should do that. I should advocate for GTA and Smash. I think it would be perfect. It's a match made in heaven. Not many people have requested it, so this is a golden opportunity. I'm well aware of what people are going to say in the comments. Grand Theft Auto is too mature of a game franchise. It's too violent. It's too controversial to be in a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I understand that. If I was smart, I would have taken that into consideration, and I would have been like, you know, it would be cool to see happen, but it's not going to realistically happen, so there's no reason to make a big deal about it, and that would be it. But no, I decided to carry it forward. I had to go really deep into it. I had to be all, actually, and be like, you know what, GTA is a mature game, but guess what? Solid Snake is in Smash Ultimate, Bayonetta is in Smash Ultimate, Joker is in Smash Ultimate, that sort of thing. And like all of these characters, they come from mature M-rated video games. Now, I will admit I've never played any of these games, so I don't know exactly how mature they are when compared to GTA, but I want to imagine they're not really all that different. Like, I really doubt Persona 5 is any less violent than GTA, honestly. I could be very wrong on that, but that's just the way I look at it. And just like that, in October, I finally built up the courage to create an account, a now deleted account dedicated to getting the GTA protagonists in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it started off really good at first. Things went smoothly at first. Throughout the end of 2019 going into 2020, I would just spend a lot of time collaborating with these different accounts, making image collaborations and whatnot with other for Smash accounts, and it was fun. It was something that I enjoyed doing, and the fact that it started off so good is just what makes it even worse for me. The fact that eventually, like a year from now, everything would go downhill. Like 2 years later, it would just not be the same. I would end up having an unjustified hatred towards these people for no reason at all. Things went smoothly until March of 2020, where, we all know what happened in March. We all know it. We all lived through it. What happened in March obviously took a toll on a lot of people's mental healths. It definitely affected my mental health negatively. This whole GTA for Smash account went from being like a stupid side project that I would do to just being like the main thing that I would focus on, because I was locked up in home. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go out anywhere. I couldn't do anything like that. I just had this account, and that was it. It was the only thing that helped me get through the pandemic at the beginning. It was the only thing to help me forget about this stuff, this thing that we were going through. It stayed okay for the most part until I think it was either June or July, I don't remember, when everything went downhill. Now I have anger issues. I'm not ashamed to admit that I have a temper problem, and this was very rare throughout the 2010s, and then in the 2020s it became a lot more prevalent with all of the bullshit that we've gotten in the 2020s compared to in the 2010s. To say that the pandemic escalated my temper problems would be an understatement. This negative hopelessness, this pessimistic feel that like nothing would get better, we're just gonna be stuck like this. Everything that happened in 2019 was just like the complete opposite. I'm sure everyone has that, where they had stuff they wanted to do in 2019 that they couldn't do in 2019. They wanted to do it in 2020, but they couldn't. And I'm not an exception to that at all. But it hurts even more when it's like, even after the pandemic ended, it's too late. You can't do anything about it. But I'm getting off topic. So around the summer of 2020, either in June or July, the PS5 premiere showcase or whatever was being held. We would get our first official look at the PlayStation 5, and we would get to see like all of the new stuff that would be coming to it, all of the new games and whatnot. I remember there were people that really wanted to see Grand Theft Auto 6 be announced at this showcase. It would have been perfect to have GTA 6 as a launch title for the PS5. And then the premiere starts, and one of the first trailers that we get, if not the very first trailer, is Grand Theft Auto 5, again, for the third time. Now let me remind you something. Grand Theft Auto 5 first came out in 2013 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and then 1 year later in 2014, it came out on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Nobody was clamoring for a new Xbox Series X PS5 version of GTA 5. Nobody was asking for this. People were wanting GTA 6, and we didn't get it at all. This wasn't what we wanted. Needless to say, there was a big backlash against Rockstar during this time. I seem to have noticed in recent times GTA 5's reputation has taken a bit of a downturn when compared to in like the mid to late 2010s when it was this unanimously beloved game. I mean, it still is a massively beloved game, but I've noticed there are a lot of people that don't like it as much. The combination of the fact that like we were stuck with this game for an extremely long time. People that were born in 2013 when GTA 5 came out will become teenagers when GTA 6 comes out in 2026, just to give you an idea. As well as this like belief that like, you know, people prefer GTA 4 over GTA 5 because it has a much darker tone compared to GTA 5 and compared to the other GTA games in general, and 5 is a lot more like comedic in comparison, I guess, for lack of a better word. I don't know. In recent times, I've noticed GTA 5's reputation has kind of been tainted a little bit. It's barely anything. The game is still generally regarded as a masterpiece and one of the best games ever made, you know. Second best-selling game of all time after all, even if that's mostly just because of GTA Online, but whatever. I feel like the whole, like, negative reputation towards GTA 5 began with this trailer, because people were really excited to see GTA 6 get announced, and they didn't get that at all. They just got this game, and that's it. They just got this nearly 10-year-old game instead, and people were mad. People were making memes about how GTA 5 was being milked by Rockstar. The PS2 had 3 GTAs, GTA 5 has 3 PlayStations, you know, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure this trailer has like way more dislikes than likes, and if you go into the comment section, you will see tons and tons of comments from people expressing their frustration at like GTA 5 is being milked, you know, we're not getting GTA 6, we want GTA 6, that sort of thing. Bro, Elon f***ing Musk posted a meme about the game. He posted like a Fairly Odd Parents meme about the game being milked, and it received like hundreds of thousands of likes and whatnot. When Elon Musk is like making fun of this, that's when you know it's like, you know, it's over. It's over. God, this whole thing is like, this is like the whole meme of like, a character appears early on in the story and you don't think much of it, and then it turns out they have a much more prominent antagonistic role later on. This is like insane foreshadowing right here. Jesus Christ, man. Now, before anyone accuses me of being like a corporate bootlicker or whatever, blindly defending Rockstar, being like Rockstar can do no wrong, and trying to defend this, I'm not doing that. I was frustrated as well at the fact that we're just getting this instead of GTA 6. I was frustrated at the time about that. But the thing was, this negatively affected my motivation. I don't know what it was, but just like the idea of getting something like this combined with the backlash surrounding it, the memes surrounding it, it just didn't make me feel all that motivated for the whole like Grand Theft Auto and Smash stuff now. The really bleak nature of the world at the time did not help out either, you know, the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter stuff. I understand those are obviously far more important than some stupid game coming out on a newer system. I understand that, but like those definitely negatively affected my mental health as well, and it was just a really rough period of time. It was hard to campaign and be excited, you know, come up with ideas of like, oh, what if GTA was in Smash, you know? It didn't feel as fun with the backlash surrounding this trailer. I'm pretty sure I took a small break from the account throughout like August and September of 2020. I don't remember. I remember getting my motivation up again in October of 2020 when Minecraft Steve was announced to be joining Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and that made me think, okay, you know what, GTA has a chance. GTA 5 especially has a chance to be in the game. Minecraft was the best-selling game of all time, and it still is. GTA 5, I think at that time, recently became the second best-selling video game of all time, and Tetris became the third best-selling game of all time. Tetris got a Spirit event at some point, I don't remember when, but it got a Spirit event, and then Minecraft got a playable fighter. and so I thought to myself, it didn't make much sense to include the first and third best-selling games of all time, but not the second best-selling game of all time. And I remember being excited at this idea. I guess like the pandemic or whatever, just the way the world was, it like warped me into having this be like, oh, I want to see it happen, to being like, I need to see it happen. If I get anything else besides GTA and Smash, it'll be the end of me. It's a really f***ing pathetic thing, I know. I'm embarrassed about it, but I was different back in 2020 compared to in 2025. The remainder of 2020 and most of 2021 was pretty bumpy, to say the least. At the end of 2020, Sephiroth was announced as the next DLC fighter, and I was neutral about him at first. I was neutral on him, and then he grew on me, and now I think he's one of the best DLC fighters. In February of 2021, you had those like two girls from that f***ing RPG game. I don't remember the name of them. I don't remember the name of the game. I remember I hated these two characters for some reason. I mean, okay, I guess there is an argument that could be made that, yeah, these are like the worst DLC characters in the game, especially following Steve and Sephiroth. It's like, how do you go from the main character of the best-selling game of all time and one of the most iconic villains in all of gaming to these two girls from some niche RPG? Like, I don't get it. I'm sure the game that they're from is good. I don't know. I don't play RPGs. I'm not an RPG person. But I remember at the time, I really f***ing hated these two characters making it in, because at this time, there were only two DLC fighters left. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, you know, the chances were decreasing heavily. It was just not gonna happen. In an ideal world, I would have just called it quits after these two made it in, and I would have just accepted it and moved on. But no, I kept persisting forward. There were so many points where I could have just jumped ship and abandoned all of it, and instead I just kept on going to the very end, for the worse. When I say that people might not take this seriously because of the more absurd stuff that's in this whole thing, this is what I'm talking about. The absolute hatred that I had for these two characters making it in. I admit, there's a small part of me that's able to laugh at it. I'm able to laugh at myself and make fun of myself for hating these two characters. I'm able to, like, you know, make fun of myself in a self-deprecating way. But again, this is just completely drowned out by the more serious aspects that we'll go over later on. E3 2021 arrives in June. I remember Take-Two, which is Rockstar Games' parent company, they didn't announce any games at all for E3 2021. They did like something else. I don't remember what it was, but I remember people were mad at it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I was mad at it as well for fucking stupid reasons. I don't know. And then Kazuya was announced as the penultimate DLC fighter, and I thought he was a cool character. I thought he was an improvement, but Kazuya didn't matter to me all that much. There was only one final DLC character left, and it could have been anyone really. And so I waited and waited and waited. I remember every like Tuesday or so, they would announce a new Spirit event or the tourney or whatever it was. And sometimes they would have like Spirit events for like different franchises and whatnot. Like they did one for like No More Heroes 3, I think. I think it was the third one, I don't know. They did it for Resident Evil back in 2019, I believe. And it made me scared that at some point they could have potentially done it for GTA. I don't know why I was so f***ing attached to this idea of a Grand Theft Auto character in Smash. Like, I thought, yeah, it would be cool to see, but I got way too attached to it for no reason at all. And then things went downhill yet again in 2021 when a PlayStation State of Play would happen. I think that's what they're called, like the PlayStation Directs, I guess you could say, where there would be several new trailers, including another trailer for GTA 5 on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Actually, I completely forgot about this until now, but this is actually important information. So, Grand Theft Auto 3 came out all the way back in 2001, and it is one of the most important games ever made. It was the first 3D installment in the GTA series, and so It practically kick-started the open world genre that we all know and love today. This was the game that showcased how much more powerful the 6th generation of gaming was going to be when compared to the N64 and PS1. And it was going to turn 20 in 2021. In October of 2021 to be exact. And I remember at one point Rockstar posted like an update on their website around like April or May of 2021 that teased there would be a new like fun surprise or whatnot relating to GTA 3's 20th anniversary. And I thought to myself it would have been f***ing perfect to have like Grand Theft Auto in Super Smash Bros. In order to tie it into GTA 3's 20th anniversary. My optimism towards this would grow even stronger when it was revealed that the presentation for the final DLC fighter would be in October of 2021, but we'll get to that much later on. Around September, a PlayStation State of Play was held, and there was a second trailer for GTA 5 on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and enhanced, whatever the it was called, expanded and enhanced is what they called it, which is a complete lie, because as far as I'm aware, the only thing that they added in new to the game is 60 FPS, and that was it. That was the only thing they added into these versions of the game to make it new. There's no new content, there's nothing like that, nothing to persuade people into buying these new versions of the game when they could just stick with the Xbox One or PS4 versions of the game. The trailer was also full of tons of graphical glitches, including this double chair as you can see here, as well as these like really poor quality mirror reflections, which completely contradicted the improved graphics stuff that the trailer claims that this new version of the game would have. And it's safe to say the backlash towards this trailer was much bigger than the backlash towards the first trailer, and naturally it affected my mental health even more, and it affected my optimism. I just felt like it felt embarrassing for me. That's what it was. I felt like embarrassed and humiliated. The idea of seeing like, you know, I thought GTA was fucking dead. I thought that was it. You know, it's not going to be good anymore. Who knows what these fun surprises would turn out to be. They'd probably be crap. I'm not defending the trailer. I'm just saying, like, it just felt humiliating and embarrassing to me. It was jealousy, because I look at the other trailers in that State of Play and it's like a cool new games, you know, cool stuff, people that, you know, stuff that people actually want. And what I end up getting, what GTA fans end up getting, what Rockstar fans end up getting is not GTA 6. It's instead a port of a then nearly 10-year-old game to these new next-gen consoles. It's fucking embarrassing, to put it bluntly. And then finally, at the end of September, a Nintendo Direct was held, and it was briefly teased that there would be a presentation for the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC fighter on October 5th, 2021. And this, I got my f***ing hopes up for, and I was like, this is it. It's perfect. Rockstar took an L with that GTA 5 trailer. Now they're about to take a massive W. Comeback of the century, baby. I waited an excruciatingly long time between September 23rd, I think was when the Direct was held, and October 5th when the presentation happened. I woke up early. I was excited to see this. I was ready for it. The trailer for the final DLC fighter began, and I was excited to see if it was going to be GTA or whatnot. And then I saw that fucking Mickey Mouse keychain, and that was it. It's over. This was the image that changed my life. The final DLC character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Now, I had heard of Kingdom Hearts prior to all of this. Obviously, there were a lot of Sora for Smash accounts and whatnot. Even before this whole thing, I was familiar vaguely with what Kingdom Hearts was. And even then, I still just felt like what the f***, man? I was like the only person in the entire world that was disappointed at Sora making it into Smash. I have to make it very clear, I'm aware that Sora was the most requested DLC fighter of all time, and there were tons and tons of people that wanted to see him. 2025 me understands that. 2021 me could not f***ing comprehend that. And that was it. It's over. It was done. I was frustrated. That was the only presentation that I didn't bother to watch all that much. As soon as the trailer ended, I turned it off, and that was it. Only occasionally going back to it. That ending image of Sora shaking hands with Mario. I was the only person in the world that was angry at this image. I didn't feel joy of any kind looking at it at the time. Of course, it had to be f***ing me that would be like the contrarian, the one that can't have fun, the one that can't enjoy it, the one that can't have fun, nothing like that. Of course it had to be me. And then later that month in October, Rockstar announced what the fun surprise would be for GTA 3's 20th anniversary, a remaster of all 3 of the original Grand Theft Auto games from the PS2, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And this got my hopes up. I thought, oh crap, this could actually be like really good actually, never mind. This could make up for it. And it was coming to the Nintendo Switch as well, so it's like, I thought that would increase the chances of it happening in a future Smash Bros. Game of like Grand Theft Auto in Super Smash Bros. And then the game came out, and the game is f***ing dog shit is what it is. It's ugly as hell, it has glitches all over the f***ing place. It's like an awful remaster is what it is. As like a final f*** you to me, for no reason. I get this, and then I get Sora in Smash, and that's it. I felt embarrassed and humiliated at the fact that I didn't get what I wanted. I look at this whole thing in retrospect, and I wish I could laugh at it and just be like, it's not a big deal. And then I take it too seriously. I treat it like this is like the most important thing ever to me, and I had a hard time looking at any of the glitches in this game and finding it funny just because of this stupid fucking horrible idea that I wish never once entered my brain. In retrospect, I feel like my frustration towards the way that the game turned out was justified to an extent. The problem was the way that I handled my frustration. Now, I didn't do this initially at first, but over the years, I would go on to make my frustration towards everything that I got instead of GTA and Smash more public to the First Smash community. This community that became largely dormant post Sora joining Smash, with a few exceptions here and there. I genuinely have to think to myself if Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my least favorite video game of all time, or if the GTA Trilogy remasters are my least favorite games of all time. I know that obviously one game is objectively much worse than the other, but I'm ranking Smash Ultimate as like one of my least favorite games just because of the impact it had on my life. And the GTA Trilogy is just, Jesus Christ, man, just look at it, man, look at it. It was an awful time to be a GTA fan. My belief that Grand Theft Auto as a franchise was dead grew even stronger with this game. All I could do was just think about, Sonic 06. It just reminded me of that. I know that Sonic 06 is a dead topic. I know, it's redundant for me to acknowledge Sonic 06 being a bad game in 2025. I get that. This game is nearly 20 years old. The Sonic franchise was able to recover. We've gotten different fan remakes of Sonic 06 to help improve it, to help show that, yeah, this could have been a good game actually. And arguably, we have gotten worse games since then. When you really think about it, Sonic 06 was actually kind of ahead of its time. Back in the day, it was unheard of, the idea of a game being as broken and glitchy as Sonic 06. Nowadays, the idea of a game being broken and glitchy is sadly very common. But I'm getting off topic. I'm not bringing this up to be like, oh, Sonic 06 is bad, am I right? Because I understand it's redundant for me to criticize it in 2025. There is literally nothing new that I could say about Sonic 06 that hasn't been already said by tons of people over a decade prior. The loading times are long. Eggman's redesign is ugly. That girl kisses Sonic and it's weird and cringe and whatever. You know, you all know this stuff. I don't see any reason to rehash it. I wasn't a Sonic fan in the mid-2000s when Sonic 06 came out, and I didn't become a Sonic fan until the early 2010s. I'm pretty sure I never played Sonic 06 myself until like 2014 or so. I bought the game well aware of its reputation, and I was very curious. Even when I was a stupid kid, I knew of this game's reputation, and it made me very curious as to what it was like. And by the time I got the game, I'm pretty sure like the hate surrounding it was starting to die down. It was starting to become old and stale to call Sonic 06 a bad game and whatever. That was starting to get old. Because I became a Sonic fan around the early 2010s when the franchise was having its redemption arc with the likes of Unleashed, Colors, and Generations, I missed out on when the Sonic franchise was a massive joke all over the internet, especially with Sonic 06. I can only imagine the absolute embarrassment, the absolute humiliation that Sonic fans felt in the 2000s when this game came out. I know Sonic fans have a reputation for being weird, but like, you know, there are normal Sonic fans out there, and I cannot imagine how much it would have hurt to just have this franchise be ridiculed nonstop because of how bad this game was at the time. I can only imagine how that must have felt like. Well, actually, no. I don't have to imagine how that felt at all, because I felt the same thing. Us GTA fans, we felt the same thing in 2021 with this remaster. Honestly, it's kind of a miracle that the reputation of GTA as a franchise didn't tank completely with this game, in the same way Sonic's reputation tanked with 06. Now let me give you a little bit of insight on this account that I created for GTA and Smash, because I know some people are going to be like, well, I'm sure you might have garnered followers, why didn't they help you? Well, here's the thing, most of the people that followed my account didn't really engage with me, didn't really like interact with any of my tweets or anything like that. And that's not me being like, oh, I want attention, give me attention, whatever. That's not me doing anything like that. Most of the people that followed my account were either abandoned for Smash accounts that like they left after, like, not after, before Sora joined Smash. Like, these were accounts that had been abandoned since, like, 2019, 2020, that sort of thing. It was either that, or I had these, like, bot accounts, I guess. I don't know if they were bots, but they didn't feel very human. These were accounts that had, like, little to no tweets at all. And most of the accounts that they followed on Twitter were just random Rockstar GTA related accounts, including myself. Essentially, I didn't have any like legitimate followers for this account. I didn't have any like legitimate supporters for this campaign. At the time, I knew it would be a horrible idea to advertise this account on my YouTube channel, and I really wish I continued it that way. I really wish I kept that as like a horrible idea, but you're gonna have to wait for that one. You're gonna have to wait and see for that one. The account has long been deleted, so don't even try. Don't even bother trying to find it. I deleted it. New Year's 2025, the first thing I did as soon as the clock struck midnight was delete the account. Why did I wait so long to delete the account? You're gonna find out. The last few months of 2021 just felt strange to me. And it was all because of this stupid game. It was all because of like Sora in Smash and the GTA Trilogy remasters being bad. Again, I feel like my frustration towards both of these things were justified to an extent. The problem was not that I was frustrated at both of them. The problem was the way that I handled it. Unfortunately, this would continue to be a grudge that I would hold for the next 2 years, and it would get worse and worse in 2022 and 2023. In 2021, maybe there would be like an extremely small bit of sympathy for me. In 2022 and especially 2023, it's just inexcusable. There's no excuse for my behavior at all. Everything that I did at the end of 2021 just didn't feel, very right to me. Like, I went on vacation for Thanksgiving, and then later I went on vacation for New Year's, and both times just felt off to me because I had this stupid game in my mind. I had this stupid character making it into the game in my mind. It was quite literally living rent-free in my head. There, I said it. I said the line. It, honest to God, unironically was living rent-free in my head. Even if my frustration towards both of these things were justified to an extent, it still didn't excuse my behavior. It still didn't excuse the fact that these two things just took up my mind non-stop throughout the end of 2021. I wish I had any sort of common sense at that time to just ignore it and move on from it and carry on with my life, but as you'll see, things continue to only get worse and worse for me going into 2022.